Hello and welcome back to the Destiny Global Facebook page. My name is Carmen and I am a trainer here with Destiny Global, and we are coming live at you tonight with another success tip. We are live every couple of weeks right here on the Facebook page with real, live, free, applicable success tips that are going to help improve your life, help you achieve more success, be happier, make more money, have more fun doing it. If you have a goal to travel, listen, all these strategies that we come at you with every couple of weeks, these are things that come from experiences, failures, successes, working with people. I've been in business for more than 20 years. And the truth is, there really are just a couple little things that separate people from having huge amounts of success to failure. And tonight is no different. In fact, for those of you that have come out of any of our live training events, like the one we have coming up in just a couple of weeks, in just over 2 weeks, we will be live for First Steps to Success in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This is our live training event where we equip you to succeed, how to pay off all of your debt, including your mortgage, how to get a raise on your job, how to start a business, how to increase the revenue inside of your business, how to take your struggling business to more profits, more success, more clients in less time. More than 30 years that we've been doing this and helping people succeed. And this is one of the things that we talk about really at any event that we do. And this is one of the biggest roots of most people's failure. And we just passed a couple months back, the first of the year, where people are fresh with new attitudes and fresh starts and new goals and New Year's resolutions, and this optimism, this hope that comes along. And so often by the mid-February, more than 80% of people have already fallen off. And I know if I were to ask you, and if we were sitting in a room together right now, have you ever gotten excited about something? Have you ever started something and quit, or not finished, or not followed through, or not petered out, or you had this goal, you had this dream inside of you, and when it was just you and yourself and you were thinking about what life could look like? Or maybe you've heard the question, if failure wasn't an option, what would you do with your life? And you have all these goals and all these dreams, all these things that you would do, but for some reason, every time you go out to do it, every time you start, it's like you hit this glass ceiling. You run into this invisible wall. And for most of our clients, it's a 4-letter word that most people struggle with. And this is the word fear. This is the biggest, the number one thing that stops most people from living the life they want to live, from achieving their goals, is fear. And we're going to go through what a couple of those fears look like. And then I'm going to give you 3 steps to overcome this. But what I will tell you is this training that we're doing tonight, for some of you, this is going to be that pivotal moment where you're like, wow, yes, this is exactly what's been stopping me. And you make a choice to get beyond it. Because I will tell you, most kids, most adults, no matter the age, will spend a lifetime battling this thing that we're going to dive into in the next little bit here. And so if you look at fear and what fear actually is, FEAR, fear stands for false evidence appearing real. I'll say that again. Fear, which is FEAR, F for false, E for evidence, A for appearing, R for real. So false evidence appearing real. And fear, I know I can say that, right? False evidence appearing real. But when you have fear living inside of you, it does not feel false. It does not feel fake. It feels very, very real, right? Have you ever had to make a phone call and all of a sudden the phone had teeth, or the phone seemed like it weighed 1,000,000 pounds, or you were going to go talk to somebody and you sat there, it was just approaching somebody. It was just talking to somebody. Or maybe it was a post you were going to make on social media and you typed it and then you didn't post it. Or maybe it was a book that you wanted to write, right? So fear keeps us from doing all different kinds of things. And if I were to boil down all the reasons why why you're not where you want to be, why you're not where you think you should be, and truthfully, why you're not where you really should be. Not just where you think you should be, but where you should be. Why we are all not where we should be. It boils down to fear. And the first kind of fear is just fear of failure. There's several different kinds of fear that we're going to talk about. The first one's fear of failure. So fear of failing, fear of what if I get my hopes up and I look stupid? What if I get excited and it doesn't work out? Fear of what are they going to say about me? The societal pressure of having to be perfect or look like you know what you're doing or that you've got it all figured out or all these things that we make up in our head. So there's the fear of failure, the fear of disappointing people, which all falls under the fear of failure, the fear of other people's opinions. And opinions are like butt holes. Everybody's got one and they all stink. They all stink. And so other people's opinions are none of your business, but so often we spend a lifetime paralyzed in fear of failure. We are scared of failure. We can avoid failure like the plague. And avoiding failure is ultimately avoiding success because success and failure go hand in hand and they go together. There's fear of rejection. Fear of rejection. Your brain's job is to move you away from pain and towards pleasure. So rejection, having somebody reject us is never fun. So fear of rejection can keep us from asking out the guy, asking out the girl, writing the book. Social media, really, the fear of rejection, if we make a post, so many people find their worth, their value of their words in the post based on how many likes, how many comments, all the things, right? So there's the fear of rejection. There's the fear of the unknown. Like, oh my gosh, what if I go for this? And like, what's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. And when we don't know what's going to happen, by the way, this is where fear or faith come in. Can't walk in both. You've got to pick one. Fear of failing or faith of what if it works? And if it doesn't work, I'm one step closer. But the fear of the unknown, like, oh my gosh. And when we don't know, where does your brain always default? When you don't know what's going to happen, which by the way is life, when you don't know what's going to happen, our brain normally defaults with worst case scenario. All right. So this can look like the fear of resistance to change, difficulty in making decisions, excessive worry about the future, what's going to happen, future events, future decisions, all the things. It can be fear of loss. Fear of loss, afraid to take risks, afraid to start the business and quit the job because what if? Afraid of making a mistake on the job because what if I make my boss mad? So fear of loss, fear of pain, fear of suffering. That's a real one for some people. And so fear can have a lot of different, it can take on a lot of different forms in our life. But here's what I know. Fear, living in fear, being held in bondage in fear, which means we're too afraid to take bold steps towards our future. We're too afraid of looking stupid. We're too afraid of I don't have it all figured out. We're too afraid of what if, what will they say? Friends, it's fear or faith. It is fear or faith. And faith is believing in what you cannot see. It's believing in what you cannot see. Fear is thinking the worst. Faith is thinking the best. So I want to give you 3 steps when it comes to facing your fears and getting on the other side of them. So the first one is face it head on. Face it head on. Really ask yourself the question of and this is something that I do because none of us are immune to it. Fear is always going to come knocking from time to time, even when you're super successful. The difference in people that are succeeding and people that aren't is people that are succeeding, fear comes knocking. But when it comes knocking, it's like, hey, fear, what you doing? And it's asking ourselves questions like, what am I afraid of? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You can't fight what you don't know. It's like shadow boxing in the dark. Like you can't fight what you don't know. So it's like, hey, fear, acknowledge it. I see you. There's no shame in admitting it. Everybody suffers with it. The person that says they have no fear ever is lying. But just because it presents itself doesn't mean you have to bow down to it. And the first, acknowledging it is the first step to showing fear who's the boss. Like, fear can exist. It doesn't have to run you. It doesn't have to be your boss. It doesn't have to be the thing that rules and reigns in your life. So first thing is just acknowledging it, that is there. You will be shocked at how much just acknowledging it, that it's there, makes a huge difference. Whenever I see fear popping up in my life, whenever I see something that I know I should be doing or I know I want to do, and the root of me not doing it is afraid of typically either failure or what somebody else is going to think, which the fear of failure always boils back down to, will I look stupid and what are people going to think? For most of us. So as soon as I'm like, oh, that's fear. I see you. I see you. It no longer has its power. It's when we don't recognize it, when we leave it in the darkness, is when it has its power. So number 2, take baby steps. Baby steps. But here, baby steps are action. Okay? So action kills fear. Fear can only exist and live and flourish and grow when you do nothing. It can literally only exist when you do nothing about it. So it's figuring out, okay, fear is not some scary monster. It's not some 8-legged beast. It's not, and most of the time it's based off of this worst case scenario thing that we've concocted in our brain, hence false evidence appearing real. So break it down into baby steps. Start breaking it down into action steps, and then start doing them. Because when you start doing actions, fear loses its grip. When you start walking in faith instead of living in fear, no one is typically walking in fear. Like, unless you are literally being chased by a bad guy. But when you're just talking about chasing your dreams, you're not walking in fear. When you're taking steps, you're walking in faith, and that is exciting and that is exhilarating. And man, there's just something about, I believe there's something in all of us that was born to be a risk taker, that was born to be a history maker, that was born to take risks. And I believe we are fully alive when we are living in that risk-taking spirit. So take baby steps. Face fear little by little. If you're afraid of spiders, obviously, I used to be afraid of spiders. And I would start by like looking at spiders in photos on the internet. I'm like, you're not that scary. And then I would start by not freaking out and throwing stuff at them. And then it was like getting things like hairspray or cleaner and spraying it on them. And now I can walk up and I can actually smack a spider with my bare hand. It's not my choice. Like, if I have something, I would much rather squish it. But so I would spray stuff on it. And then I would get 5 layers of toilet paper, and then I would squish it. And now if nothing's there and the spider's there, whap! But that's not where I started. It started with baby steps. And I know for some of you that are still afraid of spiders, you're like, oh my gosh, you killed it with your bare hand. I know. I said the same thing 10 years ago. But baby steps, facing those fears head on, little by little. All right? High five yourself. Every victory deserves a celebration. So when you see that you overcame fear, when you see that you made the post on social media, when you say that when you spoke up in the meeting, even though you had that fear of, what if I look stupid? What will they say? When you smack the spider, when you sit down and you do something that you've been afraid to do, acknowledge that win, celebrate that win. And the third and final one is build your fear fighting toolkit. Build your fear fighting toolkit. Listen. People that are succeeding, they're just better at fighting fear, of holding it back, than overcoming it than you are right now. But as you start to build your fear fighting toolkit, you will get good at it too. So number 1 in building your fear fighting toolkit, hang out with people that are walking in faith. Hang out with people that are going places, whether it's here on the Destiny Global Facebook page, these success tips every couple of weeks. Come to one of our events. Start interacting with people that refuse to stay the same, that refuse to be bound by fear, that refuse to be the same as they were 1 year ago today, that aren't letting fear stop them. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but they're not letting it stop them. there's a saying, iron sharpens iron and birds of a feather flock together. So environment is everything. And man, if you're just sitting at home, going to the grocery store, watching the news, getting on social media, it is the easiest place to be afraid. But when you start getting around people that are filled with faith, punching fear in the face, like it does something inside of you. So that's number one. Number two would be chill out. Like sometimes I have to tell myself, Carmen, chill out. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Just taking a deep breath and, whether it's working out, taking a walk, drinking some water, just taking a chill pill and not allowing myself. Have you ever noticed sometimes when you can work yourself up? I know there's been times where I can work myself up and freak out really about nothing. So chill out. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that aren't settling, aren't living in fear, that are walking in faith. And then accountability. Accountability is everything. At Destiny Global, we have an entire coaching program where our clients have went through a pretty rigorous training on how to become coaches. And so whether they have group, and you can actually go to the Destiny Global website and you can find a coach, and coaches that specialize in trauma, coaches that specialize in weight loss, coaches that specialize in helping you pay off all of your debt, including your mortgage. Literally, we have coaches that specialize in all these different grief recovery, all these different things, capacity, trauma, you name it. So find somebody that's going to hold you accountable. Find somebody that's going to encourage you. Find somebody, a group, a person, a coach, somebody who's going to love you, believe in you. You don't have to do it by yourself. You don't have to do it by someone that can pull you up out when you have buried your head deep down in the sand. And we all do it from time to time. We were meant to, where two or more are gathered, two are always stronger than one. And I'm going to tell you, when you start to recognize fear, take baby steps towards it, and you start to build your fear fighting toolkit, man, when you start to see fear for what it is, which is false evidence appearing real, that is when you, my friend, you start to become unstoppable. That is when you start to get on the other side of procrastination, which is fear's cousin. And you start living out your dreams versus just dreaming about them. And so I want to take this moment to invite you to join us at First Steps to Success in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We have a few seats left in the ballroom. We also have virtual options available. Get your ticket. It's 100% money back guarantee. If you come to the event and you don't get nothing, you get your freaking money back. Like, what is that? It means there's no risk on your part. The only risk is that your life's going to change. And hallelujah for that. And so anyway, I hope to see you there. If you've already got your ticket, let me know in the comments you've got your ticket. We'll put the link down there for you to be able to go to firststepstosuccess.com. See, you can read some of the testimonials, and there's going to be an entire group of people there who are not settling for fear, who are walking in faith, who are actively punching this thing called fear in the face with the uppercut and a left and a right and I hope to see you there with us. So thank you so much for watching. We will be back in another couple weeks with another success tip. We will also be live every Thursday with Coffee with Ken right here on the Destiny Global Facebook page. So thank you for watching. We will see you soon.